I myself, the producer of this podcast, is not eligible to diagnose anyone with a mental health disorder. This podcast is purely for artists discussing the mental health hurdles they struggle with on a daily basis. Enjoy. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Where Is My Mind, a podcast about arts and mental health. Kelly McCaughn is an actress I respect wholeheartedly. Kelly is an actor, writer, and comedian. She's appeared on HBO's Crashing. She has 5 credits in theater. She has upcoming films titled I Believe in the Devil, Backstage, and many more. Kelly holds a BA in theater from IUPUI and is also a licensed massage therapist. Our first episode is actors dealing with rejection through auditioning mainly. Things get kind of real during this episode, so please check our episode out. Actors dealing with rejection via auditioning. Have you ever gone to therapy?
I have.
Are you in therapy now?
I want to be. Are we talking therapy as an adult or just in general? Because
in general, I've been to therapy as a kid, and then I've been in therapy since September of 2020.
Awesome. Yeah. So when I was little, I actually went a few times. Didn't stick with it.
Did you go or your whole family went?
It was me who went, and I was very resistant. I had like really bad anxiety when I was little, and
how'd you get over it? Me too. How'd you get over it?
I think I did.
Or did you think you ever got over it? Yeah. That's such a broad question. Get over it. What does that even mean?
I think I just you don't have words for it when you're little. You don't have language for it when you're little, and you just know that you don't feel good. And so I think that, I just was like, I don't know what this is, and I'm not okay, but I think I'll be okay. And I was, and I am.
Well, you're here, yeah.
I'm
so
here.
you are good.
But like, it's, always been in my life. But as an adult, I had tried to go to therapy a few times, and I have unfortunately had pretty bad experiences with talk therapy. Like shockingly bad.
Do you feel comfortable giving an example or?
Yeah, I can tell you a few. So I had one woman fall asleep in the middle of the session.
Jesus, that would probably, I think, ruin me. That would cripple me.
I was whatever I was dealing with at that point. I think it was like my early 20s. So it was probably, she was thinking like, these aren't real problems.
Yeah, my early 20s, there was like the biggest problem I had was, I can't go out on a Thursday night. Like, get blasted. Like, what the, now it's more like real, like, dealing with health issues and just like feeling like, okay, where's my career going? Like, early 20s people are not.
Yeah.
People are not dealing with that,
But I do think that whenever I was in therapy, it was always because of, whenever anyone's in therapy, it's always warranted. It's like whatever you're dealing with is what you're dealing with, and you need help no matter what that is. I don't know why that woman fell asleep, but
Did you wake her up?
I did not. I just remember being so angry that I couldn't talk.
You were in person too.
We
I'm
were
assuming.
in person.
Oh my God.
And she was just like nodding off, and I was like, oh my God.
It's even worse in person.
And I just, at that point in my life, felt like whatever was going on with me, I can't remember what I was in there for, but it felt like the end of the world. It always does.
Yeah.
And so that was rough. And then I had another experience. Oh man, it's just been real not fun. Well, I'll give you the most recent one.
I don't mean to laugh. It's just your reactions to it. Like I just saw you go somewhere where you're like, man, this shit has sucked.
I just
completely has sucked.
I went through one of those online. I won't say the name of the company. Maybe I should. I don't know. Anyway, the company is pretty well known. And my friend was like, oh, I love them. It helped me so much. I was like, cool, let me look into it. And long story short, this woman just like scammed me and gaslit me and was like, I found out that they made money every time they didn't show up. And so there was twice
every
in a row.
time they didn't show up.
Yeah, because the session was booked ahead of time.
Okay.
And so I signed into the session and then she didn't show up. She did that twice and like didn't give me an explanation. And then when I tried to tell her, she's like, I cannot control technical difficulties, Kelly. Sometimes things happen. And like,
making it
it
your
was
fault.
so crystal clear that she fucked up.
Yeah.
Can I swear? Is that cool?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I need to put a disclaimer out because people have asked that. Yes. If you've ever met me, you know that you can curse.
I mean, I could really break down that experience and really get into how I know for a fact she lied to me and scammed me, but like, there's no need to get into it.
Okay.
But long story short is like, it's just so disheartening when it's like you just want help and you feel like you just need to talk to someone. It's like,
so
if I
after these experiences, you were kind of just like, like you have a little trust issues with it, or?
Yeah, I have trust issues.
I would.
And there's, I can think of one more concrete example. This other woman I went to, she started to talk to me about, again, she like, she didn't say it. She was an overt, but she was just like, there's people out there with like really big problems, and I didn't clock it at the time, but she was basically saying like, why are you here? Like, you don't have problems. And and while yes, there are people and things that are going on in the world that are way more important that I want to talk about, that hurts. It hurt, and it's like, then it makes me feel like I shouldn't be going to therapy because I'm not worth my feelings are not being validated. And like, there was some fucking heavy shit that I was dealing with.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, she was just like,
did you request another therapist, or did she?
I just bailed. I just bailed because I think she had done some hardcore social work where she saw like people on the streets. And so I knew where she was coming from. I understood her headspace, and I was like, I understand. But like, it also made me feel horrible.
Yeah. Before I got married, I was like, I need to figure myself out. And maybe that was an excuse to do it. Like, I'm getting married and I want to just make sure I go into it. Cause my parents split when I was super young, like 4. So I just like, I'm going to do everything in my power to like avoid that, because that's all I know.
Yeah.
And then I ended up going to therapy, and I thought it was going to be like, how do I fix Chris? And then it's like, literally, I've fixed a handful of relationships in my life that have been just making me very angry. So at first I hated therapy. Now I don't know how I live without it.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know. It does bring up though a lot of things that like I don't want to face, or like I feel really terrible saying out loud.
Yeah.
And thank God, like my therapist, she listens, like I couldn't even imagine the thing, like you went through 3 horrible experiences, 2 or maybe more, but the 3 you said, 2 of them were like, oh, this is trivial, this isn't important, and then 1 fell asleep on you. Like, that's a little, I mean,
literally, like, it kind of makes me laugh when we say it out loud.
Well, I'm not trying to downplay it. I'm just saying, like,
no, I know
that's really fucked up. That like,
yeah,
I can't even imagine that therapists would do that.
Yeah, and it makes me apprehensive to look into it, because I'm like, oh, my problems aren't big problems. These aren't problems, and I like minimize my own like issues or things that I want and I feel like I need to talk about, and like I see, like, I'm trying to convince myself that they're worth, what I mean? Like, that's fucked up. Like, that's fucked up.
I agree.
And so, yeah, like, that has made me really like, I don't need to talk to anybody. Like, I don't actually have problems. These isn't as, and I'm like, yeah, they're real problems. Like, they're real problems. Like, they're very real, and it's like, how do you put someone's, pain or problems on a spectrum and say, well, these ones are way more important. So I don't know.
No,
it's
you're
really
right.
a weird thing.
Because when I'm in therapy, I tell my therapist, like, oh, this shit's not important. Like, I feel like I'm just bitching and complaining. And she's like, who's telling you that? She's like, these problems are very, very important to you. So they are problems. So these are things that you have to deal with. Like, you cannot compare yourself to other people. Because, my problems aren't as bad as someone who might be homeless, or someone who comes from a even more broken home than, others have gone through. But it doesn't make your problems less or more important. Like, people have to deal with their problems, how they deal with it. And I don't know, maybe it's the time of, like, when you went at the age you went, maybe they didn't take you seriously. But still, I think that and that's just me assuming, you know, but like they should everyone you talk to should have like literally just given you the time of day and not been like, yeah, this shit's not important. Because that I mean, they say that to the wrong person, and like God forbid, like someone could, you know, I don't want to say it out loud, but you know where I'm getting at, you know, like you say that to the wrong person, it could really change or affect someone's life, and then how do you live with that, you know?
And it's like the problems, you know, that you want to talk about, or the things or the issues or your concerns. It's like if they aren't helped or you don't have tools to help them along, like it can and will get worse.
Mm-hmm.
And I've experienced that too. And it's like, I'm just looking I think everyone should be in therapy.
Yes.
No matter how big or small you think your shit is, like everyone needs someone, and everyone is worthy, and everyone should be validated, you know, and anything that they need to speak about. Like we're all humans, and like all we have is each other. And I mean, yeah, I mean, I know I'm grateful for, you know, my situation and for everything that I have. And I know that there's people that are struggling way, way more than me. I know that, but like, help me help you. Like I want to be okay so I can be okay to other people, and so on and so on and so on. You know, it's a, you know, we all affect each other.
I think,
you know, and I just want to move through the world, you know, in a healthy way.
I like that you said that, because, and I'm not just saying that because I'm interviewing you. Like I met you like this time last year because we did that short scene for your reel. And ever since then, like you probably are like my favorite person to follow on Instagram.
Oh my goodness.
Because you do so many like funny fucking skits or funny characters. And it's just like, there's a handful of people who are like, you know, independent artists who I follow who are just like, man, you just like make like, you are just very, very funny. And you are one of them because you're just, it's not that you don't take life too seriously. It's just like your characters are like, I've seen you do a handful of male characters. Specifically one, the like redneck who got vaxxed. That shit has me dying every time. Like I'll go back, and if I need a good laugh, I'll go back and watch that. Or I'll go back and like watch, go and just watch our scene. Like my mom, I'm very close to my mother, and she's heavily invested in like my acting and directing. All my parents are, but my mom was like, wow, that rehearsing between you and that woman were like, the chemistry was great. I was like, well, yeah, we rehearsed like crazy just for the one small scene.
Yeah.
But I was like, but yeah, she was more serious than that. But like, you gotta here's her Instagram. You have to watch these skits. So I'm just saying, I say that because of what you just said. Like the shit you put out, like definitely is funny, and it definitely probably helps more than just myself, because it's like, man, because that got my brain going. Like, could I write a character for Kelly where she just plays a guy? And no one would, because when you played that Vax guy, I'm sorry to keep bringing that specific one up. I was trying to be like, where's Kelly in that? Like, where I could not see you at all because you had a wig, you had a fake ass mustache. And then I saw you when you posted the reel or the bloopers you had for it, but like the way you were talking was just fucking hilarious.
But you know what? Like, now that we're talking about therapy, like that is my therapy. Like that is.
I was going to ask you, for someone who doesn't go to therapy, besides that, what is your therapy, or is it just that? Like just that, but you know what I mean.
For sure. Like, so laughter for me is therapy.
Okay,
like laughter is therapy, and like even today, it's like it's also it's defiance. Like comedy is defiance, and it's a weapon.
Is that your favorite genre?
I think so. I think it's you know, I there's so much about comedy that feels like a win-win for all. It's like, I feel good, you feel good. Like it just, there's nothing I don't personally that I love more than being in a room and laughing with people. Like that is my favorite thing in the world. And while I feel isolated sometimes when I'm doing it by myself, I'm laughing. I'm making myself laugh, and that is me. I'm having fun.
Oh, I'm
and
the funniest person I know. That's how I look at it. And I think that's the mentality you have and others who are into comedy have to have that. Like, you think that you are the funniest person ever. Like,
it's not even that. I just am having fun.
Yeah,
I'm getting
yeah.
joy
Yeah.
out of being stupid.
But you also create these characters on your own, right? I'm assuming, or you pull from shit you see on the internet, which I'm assuming you did, because you had the America bandana.
I mean, I just get
You had the wife or the tank top. I'm never gonna call it a wife beater. That shit's stupid. But you had the tank top, the bandana, the mustache. So I was
know
like,
what happened?
How did you create that? You know, like,
My mom gave me a bag of Halloween costumes that she had used in the past, and the bandana with the wig. It's one piece. There's
No,
a
it's
wig.
not.
Yes, it is. And so
I'm pretty sure the wig was like salt and pepper hair, right? Like, wasn't it
I don't
gray?
even remember. But like, I just literally will see a thing and get inspired. Like I saw the thing and I was like, who is this person? Where would this person live? And that day, I don't even know where the fuck it came from, but I was walking back from getting my vaccination and I was like, man, it's been a while since I've seen my friends. Like, and I said, it's been a while. I was like, what was that song by Stain? And I just started cracking up. I was like, oh my God, that song by Stain. It's been a while. And then I just started laughing.
Yeah.
And then I don't know. My brain just starts to go places.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, maybe I should do like a character that's like a Stained, like someone like who was like singing Stained music. Like there's something really funny about that to me.
Yeah. Well, you're like, sup peeps. I don't even know what you said. You're like, sup peeps. Got the vax. I'm not going to try and quote it because yours was a lot more genius than what I'm saying, but it was just so like where the fuck did you like? I was like, where the hell did she come up with it? Because I've seen some of your characters you do, and it's just so. That's one thing for me anyway that I like. One of my best friends, him and I do a podcast together, and he does voices. He can do character. That's one thing I can't, but I haven't really practiced. So, but every time when you did Ruth from Ozark, and I knew you were gonna hit me with I don't know shit about fuck. Like I was like, that is like it's just gold. Like. I don't talk to you enough to just, but I'm always just like, you are like, this shit is funny. Like,
thank you.
Your friends should be very happy to like just be around you because I'm just saying you're very, very entertaining. I'm not saying it because I'm interviewed for whatever reason. It's just like, ever since like we met last year, I was like, wow, you are like one person who like, I think everyone should really like just keep an eye on because you're super, super talented. And like now knowing that you're able to be an artist or you are an artist and you don't go to therapy, like you're like a fucking unicorn.
Oh, wow.
I'm just saying because most artists I know are like, no, I go to therapy 3 times a week to survive. I'm like, oh.
I know this sounds cliche, but like the like acting and the characters and the comedy and the auditioning is my therapy. Like for the time being, it's like, I want to be in therapy. And I'm working on it. I'm trying to find someone I love because it is important to me. And
especially with your experience, you definitely like honestly, like all jokes aside, you need to tell someone or whomever you end up going with, be like, listen, like I've had really bad experience.
I actually did a few consultations because I think that's important too. Like talking to a few different people, and I told all of my therapists like, hey, I've had some experiences. Like it's really important to me that
it's super daunting going there. Like like it really like. It took me a solid 4 or 5 months to really let my guard down.
Yeah.
And I was just talking about like trivial shit.
Yeah.
And then like 4 or 5 months in, I started talking about like the heavy stuff.
Yeah.
And I remember at one point in therapy, I would like, it was a 45-minute session. I want to say for legit 35 minutes, I was just crying. And she's like, okay, right now you're at your lowest low. And now it's time to now build you back up. And I was like, this is what it's really all about. Really, like it's, for certain things. So it's, and I think it needs to be more. I used to not want to tell people I was in therapy because, coming from a man's perspective, it's a sign of weakness. It really is.
That's so not.
I have a lot of my friends from different races, tell me like, oh, it's frowned upon, like whether my friends are Puerto Rican, African American. They're like, oh yeah, man, that is so not acceptable. And I was like, really? Like it was never not acceptable for me. It was just I didn't know how to tell like my parents at the time like I needed it. So that's when I sought after it, thanks to my wife, because she was going, and she's like I saw a big change in her, and I was like, man, maybe I should try this. Maybe I should really like figure it out. Like I said, I cannot at this point like. I could live without it, but I've noticed like, oh yeah, we got to reschedule a session. We can't meet this week. So if I skip a session, I'm a little more like irritated. Like, what I'm saying? Like, it's just definitely a very good, because I don't know how your friends are. And this is no disrespect to my friends. It's just, I don't want to overbear my friends with like all the shit. Yeah. Don't want to overbear my family with all the shit. This is someone, yes, you do pay to go to, but they're professionals who are there to help you.
Exactly.
So you have to pick the right one, like you were saying. So I really hope in the next, few months you find someone who, if you want to, but you find someone who's going to respect all that, because that's, I've never gone across where someone's like, yeah, everything you're saying is just, I don't have time for that.
Yeah, that's a big bummer.
But I wanted to talk to you about two topics. The first episode I want to talk to you about, because you are I met you through acting. Do you direct? Do you write? Do you produce? Like, what else do you do? I only know you as actress, but
yeah,
I would love to hear like what other stuff do you do? Any other art forms you do, whether it be painting, photography, anything like that.
Yeah.
Let the people know who you are.
Sure, yeah. So I am an actor, writer, comedian. I would say those are my main things. But I also sing a bit. I'm trying to get back into that.
Let me guess. Like, when you say sing a bit, you're probably like really good at singing. Every singer is always like, yeah, I dabble in singing, and then they fucking like crush like La Boheme, or they're opera singers. It's like, okay, you downplay it.
I think I have potential. I know that I need lessons. I know that I'm good. And I just took a lesson yesterday, and he's like, you should absolutely be singing more. Like, so that made me feel really good. It was very validating. It's just that I can be shy about singing. So I know I'm good. I can be really shy about it because it's very vulnerable. Yes. And I'm just like, oh my God, I just get really shy.
What's so vulnerable about it in your opinion?
I was talking about this with my friend who's a singer. Her name's Taylor Kelly. Check her out. Holy shit. Taylor Kelly. She's amazing. And I was actually talking to her about that. I was like, what is it about singing that just feels so vulnerable? And we were trying to articulate it. And I think it's just because it comes from such a place inside that's like, I don't know. It's
probably more vulnerable because you're also, if you write your own music too, or lyrics, I'm assuming that.
Yeah, I think that's a huge
it as well.
Part of it. And I think, it depends on what kind of singer you are, I would say. But like, she's the kind where it's like she spills her guts out, when she sings. Taylor Kelly.
Gotta check her out.
But yeah, so I'm trying to do that a little bit more. I have a one-woman show that I wrote, produced, and star in. And that has been on hold for a bit because of COVID. I performed it in Philadelphia and trying to get it. I performed it in Philadelphia and Pittsburgh. I'm trying to get to New York and LA and beyond.
What's it about?
It's called Catholic Guilt.
Oh no. Can you give me the synopsis, because I feel like it's going to just be wild.
It is wild. It is it's all the things.
It's just Catholic guilt.
I go through my story, but it's very honest and pretty raw, and it's funny, but it's also very sad.
Okay.
And
is it based on like your life?
Yeah. There's like real, like I tell the truth.
Oh,
and
shit.
And so there's a lot of there's a lot of like inner monologues that you'll see. There's a lot of specific memories that I have of like the most poignant times in my life, and how religion played into that and how it affected me. And
you were raised very religious?
I was raised Catholic. I went to Catholic school from preschool through 12th grade, unfortunately.
Okay.
So it was beaten into me, and like a lot of people who come out of like religion have like a lot of trauma and a lot of like unpacking to do with where they stand in the world after they realize it's not what they believe in, and there's a lot of that in there.
Yeah.
But it's very, very funny. But it also kicks you in the gut. So Yeah.
Is it anything like that movie Saved?
Wait,
Or
I don't
did
think
you
I've seen Saved.
I think it's Jenna Malone, Mandy Moore.
I've never seen it.
Oh man, yeah, I think they're doing a play. I don't know if they're like doing like a sequel to Jesus Christ Superstar in the
Oh.
movie. In the movie, I think Steve Coogan is in it. You should check it out.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if yours sounds more raw and intimate and honest. This was more like on the funny side, but I think they were just trying to do a play at a Catholic school, and
Okay.
all the characters were trying to like. I think Jenna Malone's character was like in love and trying to like. She was a virgin, and she's like, I don't know. I think that was it. I think
remember
that's
hearing
what it
about
was. Yeah, I think it was. It's called Saved because it's like you got to save your virginity for
God.
X, Y, and Z.
Oh,
Yeah.
God,
I think that's why it was called. I think that's why it was called that. But it was early 2000s. It was like before Mandy Moore was on This Is Us and everything. Like when she was a kid, like not kid, but
I lose my
early
virginity
20s.
in the show, so there's that.
That's funny.
There's a lot of funny. I mean, it's a comedy,
but
for
it's
sure.
You said it's a one person act, so it's like and you're acting in it, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow. That's fucking awesome.
So I'm trying to do more self-producing too, and I paint on the side for fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I'm a massage therapist, so
Is that your
it's my
day
side
job?
gig. Yeah.
Or sidekick?
Yeah.
Wow. Do you do it at your apartment?
Yeah. Yeah.
You're like Phoebe?
I am like Phoebe. Yes. People say that about me. Like, you're like Phoebe from
I'm sure,
Friends.
yeah, I'm sure you get that a lot. Like, you're very original. You could have hit me with that. You could be like, very original, Chris. But
no.
So if you don't mind me asking, when did you pick back up? Like massage therapy because COVID.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Like what?
So I was 100% unemployed for a long time. Yeah, it's still hard to navigate. Like I'm doing it, and like the quarantine actually was a gift in a way that I was able to walk away from the other job I was doing because I was working I was doing my private practice and another place that was independent contractor.
Okay.
So I was doing this massage and that massage, and it was just too much.
Yeah.
And I was at a point where like I can't do this anymore. I just want to do my own thing. So I finally was able to walk away. But right when I walked away, I knew that I wasn't gonna be able to do it because when it very first started, nobody knew what was what, and so I was still massaging, and it was like, I don't know, am I allowed to be doing this? And then all the things came out where it was like, hey, if you're in this world, if you're in this, nobody was allowed to work at all for anything for a minute there, but I was on the like, how there's different categories of what was
essential workers and whatnot,
right?
Yeah.
So I'm considered an allied healthcare worker, and so I was in a different category, and so I was not allowed to work and do certain things for a long time.
Did you focus more on? Well, this might be a stupid question, but I was going to say, did you focus more on like auditions and art? But everything was just kind of like shut down. So I wrote a lot during the beginning of COVID.
Yeah,
I wrote a lot.
There's a kind of like it was like this sounds awful and privileged, but like when you had that time, it was kind of amazing to like be able to work on things, or discover things about yourself.
This is going to sound extremely like awful, but yeah, you're 100% right. Like in the beginning of COVID, it was just such a weird time because like you were seeing, like my dad, I felt like was texting me every few months, like my friend just passed, like, and you were like, I got diagnosed with diabetes at the beginning of COVID. And then it came out like, oh, people who are obese and have diabetes, they're they're more susceptible to get it. I haven't gotten it, thank God. Like, and I'm not saying, I've been as safe as possible. Yes, I've traveled and I have gone to the movies, I have gone out to eat, but I'm just very safe about it,
Yeah.
And I'm not giving myself a pound on the back. It's just I think some people didn't think about, like, didn't take it seriously, and I think I was more so like, no, the first, like, I didn't go outside when 2020 happened. I really didn't go outside and do shit until like maybe July of 2020, so it was, but at that beginning I was like, we're navigating, like, how am I gonna, because my day job is writing and video for a cigar company. How are we gonna film stuff we usually do in the office at home?
Yeah.
So there was a lot of downtime. Like there really was. So yeah, like you said, I know it sounds privileged and whatnot, but I was able to be like, okay, let me pop out some shorts, and now I'm going to be producing them this year.
Right.
Because but yeah, it was just, you were able to really find yourself. I think COVID hit a lot more people, like on the, how do I say it? Like it affected a lot more people than it obviously helped.
Yeah.
I think it really has mentally affected everyone.
Oh yeah.
But then you have some people who thrive and like, oh, I love, I'm a hermit. I love being alone. I'm not that person. I like going out. I like doing things. My wife and I like going, to plays and to shows and travel. And so it did affect me that way, but people who are very used to being, I guess, inside, they're like, yeah, this is just another day in the park, another day at the office for me kind of thing. So that's interesting that you had a job that really was like completely affected by COVID.
Yeah, it was wild. But like you just said, like I did have time and I took classes. I did
Online,
like tons of online classes, and it was all like acting stuff. So like I got to take classes and learn from people and meet people from all over the world that I never would have gotten the opportunity.
I took a class with Robin Parrish. I think you know her,
right?
Yeah,
I
took 2 or 3 of her classes, and she had people from LA and New York, and I was like, man, this virtual acting class is nuts.
It
was
weird.
Crazy.
It's
I
hard.
can't do it anymore.
I
like,
know.
I know when I messaged you and I messaged the people I wanted to be on the podcast, I was like, hey, like, I know you're not that far away, but if it's more comfortable to do it virtually, we can. And I'm so happy, like you and a few other people are like, no, come in person. I'm like, thank God. Because it's more like you get to connect more in person than like
absolutely
Zoom. You got to like, you talk over each other. Like you got to wait till like,
I know.
And we're just doing audio. There's no visual to it. So like Zoom audio too is kind of like, it's just the worst, but like I'm over like Zoom interviews, Zoom auditions and all that.
I'm just,
I'm ready to really get back. If that means I got to be like, I have to wear a mask and go out into person and audition and, I have to get tested or temperature, like just let's get back to like kind of that normalcy of getting out there instead of like acting class is meant to be in person, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
But I wanted to talk to you about, because you are one phenomenal actress, auditioning and I guess the rejection one feels from auditioning. Now, what's the scariest part of auditioning?
Yeah, so 2 things. The main thing I would say is just the lack of control, that you do your thing and you have to let it go. And there's no right or wrong way. It's just you have your perspective, and if we're talking about specifically doing stuff virtually these days and doing, because most things are on self-tape at this point, you have to just let it go. You have to like give it everything you have, trust that that you did your best, trust yourself as an artist and as a person, and just let it go, because now we have the opportunity to do like 1,000 takes if we want. And that is just so not healthy. And it's such a lesson.
I've never done an in-person audition.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So I've only ever done virtual or, like you said, self-tapes. So I would love for you to speak on the difference. Yeah, you say you can do 1,000 different takes and you think you can nail it. But like there was probably something about in-person auditions where it's like this is kind of like not all or nothing, but it's like you get one chance to really fucking nail it
with
in person.
Well, I feel that with in person, a lot of times it's comforting because they'll redirect you. You have an opportunity for them to go, cool, let's try this. I want to do, they'll give you a different thing to work with.
Can you go outside for a few seconds if you want to read another part, come back in?
Or they'll take what you just did and just say, I love that. Let's try something different. I want to see you do it this way now. And then you get to play.
Yeah.
And then you get to kind of learn each other and feel each other out and have that like experience of just a human connection.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
And just, the energetic exchange is so much different than it is over Zoom. It's just not the same.
That makes sense. I've conducted in-person interviews as like a director because I started off directing and writing. And like, I remember way back when they said like, if you want to know what, if you're a director, take an acting class. So like what actors are going through, or go to an audition and like, just show what and it's like, people could put so much like stake in like, oh my God, I need this audition. I need this audition. I need this. And, you know, you do hear some horror stories where like some casting directors, or if the directors are there, or ADs, they just kind of come off like, oh, you're just another notch on the belt kind of thing. I do like, you know, when I conducted my auditions, I liked being like, hey, like this is a very friendly environment, like kind of putting that out there, because you could tell like people are going in there and they're just like nervous, and it's like, I want you to be at your best, you know?
Yeah. And you're remembering that they're all rooting for you.
Yeah.
Like the people on the other side are on your side.
Most of the time.
Most of the time.
Really, I feel like,
Yeah.
but you can speak on that more than I can. Like you said, virtual or self-tape, you know, I put a handful of self-tapes out since 2020, and I either get no response or I get like, thank you very much. I always think like when people submit and I've like, okay, Kelly, you got the role. I'm going to email the 10 other like people for the role and say, thank you, but we're going in a different direction. I don't know how many times people have said you're like one of the few people who actually like respond and send that email out. But I think that's important.
That's very kind.
I hate like auditioning for something and not hearing back.
A lot of times you won't. And a lot of
and
times
then
you
seeing it, oh, they went with that guy. Got it. Okay.
And
You know, that's what they were looking for.
More often than not, that's what happens.
Oh yeah, no, I'm sure that's more the norm than anything, you know?
Yeah.
But so I think I interrupted you. I apologize. You said there was
okay.
two things that was scary about the auditioning.
Oh yeah. So it's the lack of control you have. Like you can only, with self-tapes, you do your thing and you just have to trust yourself and go, that's it. I'm sending it. And you just, so much is out of your control. Like when you audition, you just get, you have your take on it and you just have to trust yourself. So it's a lesson in trusting yourself, which I think has been really great. The other hard thing about auditioning, and this isn't necessarily about self-tapes, but it's sometimes you have to compete against your friends.
Yeah.
And that sucks. And that is just awful, because it's like you can look at so like if you take a sports team, for example, you can play against these other guys in sports and you all, you know, okay, you one win, one loses, you high five and it's all cool. But there's something different about the stakes of like getting a part for whatever reason. I guess it's because the opportunities feel so, you know, rare, or most of the time when you're going for something you really want it, everyone, you know, I really, really want this or whatever. And I want my friends to do well. And like, I want my friends to win. I want people I care about. Like, that sucks. I don't want to have to go against you in anything. Like that sucks.
Yeah.
And like, that has happened more than once. And like,
and you hope your friends feel the same. That's the thing. You really do hope that they feel like the same way, because that must be very like awkward, like going into an auditioning room and seeing like some of your friends and you're like, which role are you going for?
Yeah.
You know?
And like I've had a coach who has, you know, been able to say out loud to people within a class of people who I have done auditions with and gone in for the same things for. He's like, you know, just remember, you guys could go hand in hand. You're rooting for each other. And it's like, right. Yes. Let's keep that energy up. Like, because there is nothing worse than feeling like, you know, it's just such a horrible thing to have to do. I think.
I've like I said, I've never had to. I've never felt it that way on like the auditioning end. I felt it like on another end. That's it's not really similar, but like, oh, you know, if you want to, like, I always offer my services. Like, if you ever need help with a short film, like, let me know. And there's times where like people just don't like hit you up for your offer, and it's like, well, at first I was like, well, why don't they want to work with me? You know, but it's also like they might not think, like they might say, well, I've had a conversation with Chris and he seems to really just like writing, directing, and this. I don't think he'll really want to come on set for audio or for this or for that. So I you know, that's one thing going back to the therapy thing. I've learned that like most of the things that are in my head are not. It could be totally how they feel.
Yeah, has nothing to do with you.
That's been very helpful.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not like placing blame on others. It's just like, oh, you don't know what they're going through right now, so why think it's you? You know, so. But no, I think that's a very interesting perspective of like auditioning with your friends and being like, fuck, I want them to win too. You know, I want them to get it. You know, what was the first time you ever felt like, if you want to speak on it, like the first time you ever felt really rejected, like auditioning wise?
Yeah. It's kind of silly. When I went to college, so I went in high school and all growing up, I did like all the musicals and all the plays, and I was like, musical theater gal, and I got like a lot of the really good parts. And so once I got to college, I was like, cool, I want to do this. I want to do this for real. And so
where'd you go to college?
Indiana University, Pennsylvania.
Oh shit, okay. IUPUI, right?
IUP.
I only know because basketball.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I usually party. It was like the thing people said, like, oh, IUP is I usually party. It was so dumb. Big party school. Big
That's
party
funny.
school.
That's funny.
It was known to be a pretty big party school, and it was, and I definitely did. But yeah, like
but
when
especially with your, if you went to Catholic, I don't mean to keep cutting you off. If you went to Catholic school, I'm sure college was like, oh man,
oh my God,
I am going to.
That's a whole other thing to unpack. I went fucking crazy.
I'm making, the Kelly you knew in high school.
Many walks of shame.
Yeah.
many
sleepless nights. I'm
oh my
sure.
God, just like I went nuts. I mean, it was great. It was the best. Many mistakes were made. None of which
That's
I
what college is for.
Yeah,
like,
you just
really,
fucking
that
make
is
mistakes.
what college is for.
It is.
I'm sorry. Like, I went to college a little bit late. I went at 22 to the Art Institute. So it's not like your typical 4-year school. Like, I had 45-year-old people in my class, like, just trying to I'm working a full-time job. I'm taking this night class because I want to better myself.
Yeah.
And I'm here highest fucking class. Like, what are we doing again?
Yeah.
Like, not taking it seriously kind of thing. But yeah, no, college was the best. I went in Florida. Best time of my life.
Best.
Early 20s was probably the best time of my life.
The best and worst because it's growing pains.
Yeah. But I'll probably look back now and be like, wow, this is some pretty fucking cool times too. Like when you're in your 50s and like your back hurts just from waking up and you're like, man, my 30s was like when I turned 30, really quickly, sorry. When I turned 30, my mom was like, 30s are you going to be the best years of your life.
Wow.
So far, they really haven't. They haven't been except one thing, getting married.
Oh.
One thing. But then I told my mom that. My mom's like, yeah, I was kind of lying to you. Your 40s are really... She's trying to backtrack and shit. But she's like, no, 40s really is when you're not like, you're not living paycheck to paycheck and you have a house and you have that. And my mom's like, you're still young enough to like go fucking like have fun and go out and this and that. She's like, 50s and 60s, awful.
I feel like I have heard that. Like 40s are like the prime.
Yeah.
40s are like, I know who I am.
Yeah.
I know what I want.
I thought I knew who I was when I was 22. And
right?
I clearly
hilarious.
didn't.
It's like laughable.
I thought I was so like, I thought I was just such a fucking tough guy and like so cool. And if this is where you really think you're cool, you think you're cool. And then like a really nice girl walks up to you. How you doing? And I'm just like,
yeah.
just walk away. Yeah, you're not cool, dude, because you're just so like you're still such a kid, like. And that's the thing. When you're a kid, you don't know. When you're a kid, you don't know shit. Like I thought 22. I mean, I know everything.
Oh,
but anyway,
absolutely.
I'm sorry to ramble and
go
off
all
track.
Good. I like talking.
You were in college, and you were
Rejection.
like, this is what I really want to do.
Right. So I was like, this is what I want to do. I'm going to school for theater. I want to be an actor. I want to be musical theater, more specifically.
Do you have a lot of history in theater? Like, what's your ratio to like how much you've acted on stage versus film?
Oh, so that my background's in stage, like theater.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I actually only started really doing on-screen stuff the past like 2 or 3 years. I'm like fairly new to it. Yeah. I'm pretty new to it.
I hate the fact that you're fairly new to it.
What?
And you're phenomenal because you're like really good at it.
Thank you
Don't
so
say
much.
why. Yeah,
I didn't know what you meant by why.
No,
when I said
just,
why, I meant like, why do you? I didn't know what you meant.
No,
I really didn't.
No, I was joking. I don't hate you, but I'm just like, what? Like, but I think that just goes to show, like, my mom told me this. My mom's like, you really want to be an actor? I'm like, yes. She's like, then get your ass in theater because like real actors do theater. I'm like, thanks, Mom. I've done a handful of shorts that have won locally, and I've won my first acting like award like a year or two ago, and I felt good. My mom's like,
you know what?
Do fucking theater and then come talk to me, like in a nice way. And I agree with her.
I get that. I do, but I think if you get with a good teacher and you stick with it, you're just as good at. Look, I learned everything that I know now, or that I grew into, and who I am now as an artist. Like, it all happened after my undergrad. I didn't get what I needed out of my undergrad, so like
really?
I have stuff to say about that too. That's a whole nother podcast.
Where'd you go for your undergrad?
IUP.
Same. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So the rejection thing.
Yes.
meant to say. I'll get to that. So
I keep cutting you off, so I apologize.
It's all good. So yeah, I got to undergrad. I'm like, this is what I want to do. Musical theater. There was a musical audition. And I was like, let's go. And so
what was the play?
It was
or the musical.
It was Little Shop of Horrors.
Okay.
And I totally did it in high school. And I was like, I know this show. I know what I'm doing. It's in the bag. Such an idiot. And so such an asshole. And so I go to the audition and I was like, I sang my song, did my thing, didn't even get a call back. And I was like, oh my God, it's over. Like, I'm not doing, like, this isn't for me. This isn't for me. Like, just like such a blow. So I was like, what an, like, who did I think I was? I didn't know anything about anything. I was in a Catholic high school singing in the musicals. Okay. I wasn't in a performance arts training. Yeah. I wasn't nobody. I mean, the people who call themselves directors in my high school, are you kidding me? Like, it was just a joke. Yeah. Like, it was a joke.
Yeah, no. I get it.
And like, while, yes, it was clear that I knew what I was doing and it was clear that I had talent. Like, that is.
In your high school, you probably stood above the rest.
I did.
And then when you went to college,
it was nobody.
There's 1,000 of you, right?
Yes.
Is that what you were kind of saying? Yeah.
Yes. And I remember trying to get feedback from the audition and being like, is there anything I could do better for the next one? Like, can I just get some feedback? I just want to learn. She's like, well, Kelly, you kind of just like went up there and screamed.
Went up there.
She's like, there's a difference between belting and screaming. And I was like, ooh. And so that was a huge lesson. And she was 100% correct. She was 100% correct. I did not have proper vocal training. I did not actually know what I was doing. I faked it really well as far as singing went. Like, I just didn't know what I was doing. And I was like, I'm going to be a musical theater person. And so I shied away from it because I was like, oh, and it wasn't even me being hard on myself. I was just being honest with myself.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not where I need to be to professionally pursue musical theater. So let me take a step back and still pursue theater, but not do the musical thing for a minute. Yeah. And then I found that I loved theater, like just straight plays. And so I got more invested into that.
That's great.
And at that point, they didn't even have a musical theater program. It was just something you could like dabble in and like you could audition for the musicals. But they did have an actual theater program. So then I just stuck with that. But that first time where I didn't even get a call back was like,
that was it.
I mean, I lost my mind. I cried. I was like, I suck. I'm horrible. Oh my God. I'm never going to, it was a total shit show. Total shit show.
I think for me, more so as submitting films into film festivals, there's a shit ton of rejection there.
I bet.
So that's where I feel all my rejection. I haven't had too many rejections with acting. Just not getting a call back, I guess that's rejection. But it's like, okay, I'm trying to be like, okay, on to the next one. And, like I said, I started off directing and writing and growing that talent first. And when I was auditioning and I wasn't getting any roles, I was like, hold on. I think I'm like a halfway decent writer. I can direct. Why don't I just write something for myself and then just cast it and produce it myself? So maybe it's the more like your approach with the one woman or one character show that you're doing. You're doing all of that because who else better to tell your story that you want to tell? I think that's kind of more so what I'm, where I'm going at. It's like there's a level of like a fine line you have to tread on, like of being too confident, but not also like burying yourself 6 feet under to be like, I suck, and then you can never get out.
Yeah.
I've buried myself a lot where I'm like, I really cannot do this. Like, what am I doing? Right. Like, and then there's a few things, honestly, like, doing like the scene with you and last year, because like I didn't do anything in 2020. I had a lot of health issues plus COVID. And then 2021, I didn't do much, but it's like, all right, like, you post it and people who aren't your parents or family seem to really like it. So it's like, okay, there's that, like, that's kind of feeding my confidence back, but you have to like tread that line perfectly. And I'm trying really hard for like rejections, especially with auditioning or like anything film related, to not like let it just shatter me, So do you think rejection at this point in your life is more harmful or helpful for you? Like, how do you take when you feel rejected like that? do you take it and run with it, or do you chill back on your couch, binge watch some Netflix, and then feel sorry for yourself for a little bit, then get back up?
Yeah, I've developed a much healthier relationship to rejection in the past few years. And what I've learned and what I know, it's not even something that I've just told myself. It usually has nothing to do with you. Nothing to do with you. And all you can do is do your absolute best, throw your fucking heart out there, and just hope for the best, and just know that there was nothing else that you could have done, and to trust that what you did and who you are is enough, because it's true. And you know, especially in this industry as an actor, it's like so much of it is out of your control, and so much of it is like, oh, we just need someone who was a little bit taller, or we just needed someone who had like different color hair, or we just need someone who just like looked a little bit more like this person, or, you know, like it is just stuff that has nothing to do with your actual talent and everything to do with every other thing except for you.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing that I've like learned and that I hold on to, because I'm only speaking for myself. Whenever I do every audition, I always make sure that I feel good about it before I send it off. I'm like, I feel good about that.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about it. I'm confident about it. That's what, and I'm sending it off into the world, and whatever happens, happens. I guess there is room to feel kind of like, ugh, or whatever, when you feel like you didn't do your best, or when you feel like, you know, you could have done better, and you'll have those days. I have those days. Like, but usually I'm like, you know, this is my chance to do my thing. I'm going to do my thing and have fun. And like, the thing is you're going to not get most of the things you audition for. And as long as you're enjoying yourself and you're playing and you're having fun, that's all that matters. And you just have to trust that it has nothing to do with you.
Yep.
Because it doesn't.
That's great advice.
It usually does not.
The last question I had was, what's the best advice you can give to someone? But I think that was pretty much it.
Oh my
like,
goodness.
just don't beat yourself
It
up.
took a long time to get there.
Yeah.
Believe me.
Yeah.
And you know, I have my days, because there has been one thing in particular this past year. I've never wanted anything more. And I bawled my eyes out. I cried and cried, but it wasn't because I knew I didn't do good. It's just because I wanted it.
Yeah.
And like, and it's one thing to beat yourself up. Like, I could have, I should have, I could have. That's detrimental.
Mm-hmm.
It's another thing to just be sad and mourn the loss of something.
Yeah.
And you have to find that line.
That middle
ground,
yeah.
You can't beat yourself up. You can't.
And if you do have, like, you know, I don't know if this is good advice as well, but if you do have the talent enough to create your own content and, you know, you're not relying on auditioning, then I personally say go do that. But I think you have to still like get out there and audition and get out there and hit auditions, hit acting classes, like be a part of all of it, you know, because you can create your own content and you could think your stuff is really good, but like, and you put it out there and people enjoy it, but like I think the true test for an actor is like, okay, I'm gonna get an audition and whatever happens, I got to see how I'm going to handle the news.
Yeah, and I one last thing I would add to that is like, when you get rejected, don't compare yourself to the person who got it. That is just so not helpful.
What is there a word for that? Like, honestly, like comparing yourself to one another, like someone else is. I felt like there might be a term or a made up term.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think comparison is
because they didn't
the
do
root of all evil.
They didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah, and,
like that person.
And people are gonna hate. Like people are gonna. You don't hate the person that got the role.
I have seen people like tear people apart, and I'm like, stop it. They didn't do anything wrong. It was not yours. Let it go. Like you're hurting yourself. You're hurting the other person. Just stop. They didn't like you. We cannot do that.
Have you seen it online or like in person?
Both.
Man,
I have
online
seen some
really
real
not good.
mean shit, and I just don't understand how people can be. I just don't understand how people can be that way. And unless they've done you wrong in a big way, which I've know that has happened to people, and it's also happened to me, but I still won't be awful to those people who have said horrible things because of whatever their issues were with jealousy.
And I do believe in karma.
Hey, let's just trust that, because I would sure hope so, because damn, some people woo. I mean, But yeah, you cannot tear another person down. You can't. And you cannot compare yourself. You just have to, if you're going to feel shitty that you didn't get the thing, but just don't compare yourself to the person who did. It's not helpful for anyone.
I agree. And I'll take it a step further. Don't, if it's a local thing and you see the final product, don't watch it and tear it apart. Because I've seen people do that too.
I've seen that too.
I was up for that role. Let's watch it. Nah, I'm okay. No. We're going to watch it. It's like, oh shit, damn. All right, you got some unresolved issues. And then they're just like, I would have done this better.
Yeah, they get off on tearing apart. I'm like, dudes, this is not coming from a place of honesty. It's coming from your being bitter.
Your ego being
check
bruised.
Yourself.
Yeah.
Check, I've seen that. I see that a lot.
Dude.
People are like, oh, they'll talk shit. I'm like, dudes, this is coming from a different place. This is coming from something else.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Stop.
coming from
Stop.
I just feel like, because who knows if you don't get one role. Like, I don't know how many times I haven't gotten a role, and then a few months later I got casted in something else, and it's like whatever's meant to be is meant to be.
And there's definitely something to be said for something if you just have a straight up opinion, like I just don't agree with that choice, or I didn't like it. But just know the difference between your jealousy, and your shittiness coming out, or just genuinely having an opinion. Like,
but it is also very normal to be jealous.
Absolutely.
And that's just a human nature. That's human nature. Like, you can be jealous, but don't let it like fester in there and you're going to just start questioning like, oh man, I would have, like, I literally had someone tell me like they would have blocked a different way. I would have blocked, like, blocking would have been totally different if I was, motherfucker, blocking is a director's choice. It's the director's choice. Yeah. So you're telling me as an actor you would have blocked better than the person that got your role. Like, that's to the point where you're like, you are really like bitter. Like, you are salty.
And like, and like you said, jealousy is a normal human emotion, and it is a very real normal thing. But you can't tear other people down in the middle of feeling that feeling.
Be jealous by yourself.
Yeah,
I'm very jealous by myself.
By yourself.
I'm not going to show up and be jealous in front of people, because you know what? People talk.
But also, two things can be true. You can be jealous, but also be happy for someone.
Oh, yeah.
That's the feeling that I think is like where you want to be. Like, yes, I'm jealous. I wish I had that, but I'm also really happy for that person.
I think I'm more so... Like, I'll give you an example, and I'll use you as the example. That character I talked about earlier in the episode, I'm more so like, I don't even know if it would be jealousy. It's like, damn, like, she did something that was really, really funny. So I think there is a sense of jealousy and like all that, but it's also like it's funny as fuck. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's really, really funny. Like, I am jealous of my friends because it's like, how did I not think of that sooner? Because it's hilarious. Like, really, I think that's where you're saying that fine line is. But don't be like, oh my God, like, I would have done that idea 10 times better. Like, that's not even fun.
And it doesn't mean that you don't like that person.
No, but I think there is and
take it as inspiration.
Tell me if I'm wrong. Like, please tell me if I'm wrong when I say this. I think it is healthy to have a sense of jealousy like you and I are describing, because it now, for me, if I see someone do a character or if I see a skit, I'm like, God damn, why didn't I think of that? And now it gets my brain going.
Exactly. So use it as inspiration and motivation to be a better person and a better artist.
Yeah. Perfect.
I think that's the best way to go about it.
Yeah. No. Half the jealousy, it has to be healthy, because it's more so like, why didn't I, like, how did I not think of that? Like, come on, my brain can go there. My brain has gone there. Like, come on, like, but then it starts getting the wheels turning. But when jealousy really hits you and then it stops everything in the tracks, that's when you know it's unhealthy.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I appreciate you being on this episode. We're gonna have another one coming down the road with you where we talk about a really interesting topic a lot of people want to talk about. But thank you for being on here. And it was a lot of fun, and I can't wait to record the next one.
Yeah, thank you so much.
No problem. Once again, this is Where Is My Mind, a podcast about mental health and the arts. I'm host and producer of the podcast, Christopher Orangeo. All episodes will be available on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Radio Public, and Amazon Music. Once again, this is Chris Orangeo, and thank you for supporting.